mats. Just comfortable seated position. You're welcome to grab your block if you want, and you can sit on that anytime we're in the seated position. If you're in a cross-legged easy seat, let's switch the legs so the one that's not normally in front is in front today. And then let's start paying attention to our spine. Making it long, tall. Then we'll bring our awareness to our shoulders. Let the shoulders drop away from the ears. And finally, let's focus on the inhale and the exhale. Just letting it be for a moment, but recognizing as you breathe in and out. On the next breath, as we breathe in, we'll bring our arms up to the sky. Then let's exhale them to the sides. One more time, inhale those arms up. We'll interlace the fingers, point to the sky, exhale right. Inhale center. Exhale left. Inhale center. Exhale, reach those hands out in front of us, walk them forward just a bit. A gentle stretch here. On the next breath in, let's slowly start to walk our hands back up to our tall torso. We'll take some neck circles. So first the left side, however fast or slow you want. Just warming up that part of the spine. And let's switch directions. And we'll slowly bring that back to center. Let's place the hands on the mat and we're going to swing the legs around into a tabletop position. Starting off with our cat-cow here. So inhaling, dropping the stomach, looking up to the sky. Exhaling, arching the back, tucking the chin. You can do this to your own breath. And also feel free to start off with smaller movements and then start to increase in size as your body gets warmed up, as your spine gets looser. And while we're here doing our cat-cow sequence, feel free to start breathing into like the sides of your body if you want. See how opening up one side of your body might stretch a little different area or warm up a little different area. And we'll slowly bring that back to center, back to a neutral spine. From here, we'll start on our hip circles. So first to the right side, maybe just starting off small, keeping the rest of our spine neutral, just moving the hips around. And we'll switch direction. Hip circles are great for a really gentle stretch, but also just to maintain range of motion. And maybe do one more. And then when you're done, we'll all meet back in our center in our tabletop position. From here, let's tuck the toes and we'll lift the hips back and up into a downward facing dog. Feel free to have your knees bent here. And if you want, you're welcome to start walking the dog, dropping one heel and then the other, isolating that stretch. And on the next breath, we'll drop our knees back into a tabletop position. Untuck the toes and we'll drop the hips into a child's pose, reaching those arms out in front of us. For a more active child's pose, you might walk your fingers forward, maybe even lifting up the ball of your hand. If you prefer a short, more passive, relaxing child's pose, you're welcome to move those hands to your sides, resting your forehead on the mat and tops of your hands by the sides of your legs. If you are in that active child's pose position and you want a little stretch, now's the time to walk your hands to one side and then the other, and getting a side body stretch. On the next breath, let's walk our hands underneath our shoulders once again. We'll lift up into a tabletop position. I'm going to start by reaching that right leg out behind us and gently reach through that heel. Release it back to the mat. We'll send that left leg out. And release it back to the mat. On the next breath in, we'll stretch that right arm up to the sky. And on the exhale, let's send it underneath that left hand, walking it out, maybe bringing our shoulder or even our head to the mat, threading the needle. And inhale back to center, bring that right hand to the mat. On the next breath, we'll send that left arm up to the sky. And exhale, reach it through, threading the needle. And inhale, bring that back to center, tabletop position. Let's step the right foot forward. And if you need to, you can stretch that left leg out behind you a little bit into a low lunge. We're just going to spend here a second here, opening up the front hip flexor. If this is really comfortable for you, you're welcome to drop onto your elbows. I have tight hip flexors, so I'll be staying on my hands. And on the next breath, let's start to slowly walk those hands and the hips back, straightening the front leg into a reverse lunge. Walk the hands forward one more time. And let's walk that right foot across the left side for a half pigeon. If you have a block, this is a great time to put that block underneath that right hip. And you're welcome to stay here with your tall torso, or you're welcome to drop onto your elbows. On the next breath, let's bring those hands to the mat one more time. We'll tuck the back toes. I'm going to step back to a plank for just a moment, and then drop the knees to the mat, back in your tabletop position. We'll inhale that right arm up to the sky one more time. And exhale, thread it through underneath that left arm. Inhale back to center. Right hand comes to the mat. On the next breath, we'll bring that left arm up to the sky. And on the exhale, we'll send it through underneath the right, walking it out. We'll inhale that back to center, releasing it back to our tabletop position. And on the next breath, we'll bring that left foot up. You might need to slide your right leg back just a little bit into a low lunge here. I'm just going to hang out here for a second. Loosening up the right hip flexor. Maybe even getting a little bit of a quad stretch. On the next breath, let's start to walk the hands and the hips back. We'll straighten that front leg into a reverse lunge. Walk the hands forward one more time through our lunge. Then we'll bring that left foot over to the right side for a half pigeon. Once again, if you do have a block or a cushion, this is a great spot to put it underneath that left hip. You're welcome to stay here with your tall torso, or you're welcome to drop on your elbows. On the next breath in, let's bring our hands underneath our shoulders one more time. We're going to tuck those toes and step back through a plank for just a moment. And then drop those knees to the mat. We'll send the hips down, reaching the hands forward into a child's pose. Let's walk those fingers over to the right side. And back to center. And to the left side. And we'll bring those hands back to center. Slowly start to walk the hands up into a kneeling position, tall torso here. Next, we'll do camel pose. If you do have any back issues, I'd recommend just hanging out in child's pose. However, this is a really good stretch and is great for opening the heart and just waking you up. So if you'd like to try it out, we'll come to a tall kneeling position with the toes tucked. Start with the hands like they're in your back pockets. And we'll just kind of roll the shoulders back, looking up at the sky. Make sure to engage your core. And if you feel good here, you're welcome to walk those hands down the legs all the way to the ankles, opening the chest. When you feel like coming out of the pose, you'll just walk those hands back up, just like how you got down there. And then when you're ready, you're welcome to try this again, spend a little longer in there. But when you're ready, we'll just bring the big toes together, drop the hips, and slowly walk into child's pose. It'll be the exact opposite of what we just did with our spine. So make sure to give yourself time. And we'll all meet there. Like I said, if you want to spend a little bit more time playing around with camel, you're welcome to. I'll probably do it once or twice more, and then we'll all just meet in child's pose when we're done. All right. On the next breath, let's walk those hands up to a kneeling position again. This next pose is called a rabbit. So we're going to place your hands back on the mat, not quite as far as you would for tabletop, but just a little bit in front of you. Lift the hips up, and we're going to place just like the top of our head on the mat here. Making sure to keep your hands on the mat. What you can do here is start to round forward. So some of your weight is on your hands, taking it off your head, and you're going to feel this stretch. It's going to round your neck, and you might feel it all the way in the low back. So make sure to be very gentle with yourself. But kind of play around with this. See how it feels. Once again, I'll give you guys a few minutes, and if you don't want to do the pose or if you finish up with it early, you're welcome to just hang out in child's pose and we'll meet there. All right. On the next breath, wherever you're at, let's move into a tabletop position. And we're going to swing those legs around and come into a seated position on the mat. Once again, if you have your block, this is a great time to sit on your block, place that under the hips. We'll start with our legs straight out in front of us. Let's inhale, arms up to the sky. And exhale, forward over those legs. Big stretch here. Inhale up to a half lift. Exhale, fold over the legs. On the next inhale, let's walk those hands up. We'll send the legs out to the sides. We're going to start by inhaling the right arm up to the sky. Left hand reaches towards the left toes. Inhale back through center. Right hand reaches towards the right toes. Left arm is up in the sky, reaching overhead. Inhale back through center. Bring both of those arms up to the sky. And exhale, fold over straight in front of you. Inhale, walk those hands back up to your tall torso. Find a comfortable seated position, either an easy seat or kneeling. Just spend a second grounding through the hips, the sits bones here. Long, tall spine. And let's inhale those arms up to the sky. We'll exhale them to heart center. Thank yourself for doing yoga, doing what's good for you. I thank you for practicing with me today. I hope you have a great Wednesday, and namaste.